A fairly small group today because several people had last minute conflicts, but welcome to those of you who could make it in person to this. We are going to be recording and then sending out to all the other membership chairs later this week, but we're really glad for you to be here. We have some just kind of presentation kind of stuff. There's opportunities for you all to ask questions of the people who are sharing some ideas and things, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end. But for this small group, if you do have a thought or something like that, just go ahead and either unmute yourself or jump, you can put it in the chat. But I think we could probably manage a little bit of interaction with this size group. If you are not talking and just listening, then muting is probably a good idea just to keep the audio quality fairly reasonable. So today I'm going to start off just sharing a little bit about where we are with membership at ACDA. It's been a tough year in many different respects, and it has been in membership for sure. So I want you to know that your state, if you're feeling like your state is struggling at all, you're not alone. And then I'm going to put that in a little bit of context with the wider picture of membership associations across the country. I'm hoping that Felicia Barber from Massachusetts is going to get on. She's the current president, and she had a really kind of innovative way of using comp memberships with the last membership drive. And if she doesn't get on, I will try to share as much as I know about that. Kathy Bott, our longtime membership chair in Missouri ACDA and Southwestern region, is going to talk about ways to work with lapsed. Oh, good. Sarah Grina. Sorry, okay. Sarah. Can share if Felicia doesn't make it. Kathy will share some of her experience and expertise in working with lapsed members. Trina's going to talk a little bit about how you access your member data and lists and ways to use it. And then we're going to cover between all of us some of the resources that are available for you. And then we'll have some time for Q&A. So we'll try to work through the presentations as quickly as possible, but giving information hopefully that's helpful. And have plenty of time for some back and forth. So I wanted to kind of start off today with a little bit of real talk about what membership has been like at ACDA this year, because it's, I know if you all are choral educators, it's been a year, of challenges. I think for most everybody in the association, it's been challenging. But here at ACDA membership, it's been a little disheartening. Oh, let me see. Hold on just 1 second. Felicia's saying it's not letting her in. Not sure I don't know. Well, I guess I'll just continue on, unfortunately. So, first I want to just say congratulations, because you've been Felissa. It's been a hard year and you made it through almost, or you have been. We've almost made it through a membership year. And so to get to the tough stuff first, nationally, when we're looking at overall membership numbers from March last year through last month, we lost about 15% of our membership. So if your state has lost membership, it's, join the club. It's everybody's been struggling. Not every state has lost membership, but almost all of them have. We're feeling really proud of the ones that maintained their membership, and there were some that worked really hard to do that. And I see Felissa is here. Yay. And I want to give you just what we know a little bit more specifically about what that looked like. So the loss among our K-12 members was higher than that in other groups. Our K-12 educators make up about half of our membership. So they are the biggest demographic segment in our group, and because they lost more, that probably impacted states that have a higher percentage of K-12. Like I think Missouri is one of our states that has a really healthy representation of K-12 people. So higher ed lost some, but it wasn't as much as K-12. Interestingly, community choir conductors stayed relatively stable in terms of the numbers and percentage of members. So it's just kind of interesting to me anyway, as a membership person, to kind of see the different impacts in our different groups. Our new member acquisition dropped significantly, which isn't surprising. Our renewal rates dropped. So all this stuff is linked together, but we lost our renewal rate for active members, dropped a little bit more than 10%. Our renewal rate for student members dropped a little less than 10%, but students, have a fairly low renewal rate for a variety of reasons. So most of what our losses have been, I think we can be fairly certain that they're related to the COVID impact, both economic and worry about the future of jobs and programs and so on. But I will just mention that we had planned to switch over to our new membership platform. We were on IMUS, which was full of all kinds of problems, and we moved over to Fontiva about a year ago in April. And we knew that there's always a transition period where you're working through some bugs and teaching members to use a new login system and so on. So I think initially some of the renewal problems, renewal rate may have been affected by that membership portal change. But at this point, a year later, I feel pretty certain that we've worked through, I feel pretty confident about the database. And Trina's nodding her head, which makes me feel really good because she's the one that sees the brunt of those kinds of issues. People are learning that it takes about 3 years for everybody to figure out that they actually have a new login system. But I feel like our data is pretty good at this point, what we have, and that's pretty much taken care of. I think we still just are seeing the impacts of COVID. So in the membership world, kind of staying in touch with what's going on in other associations and with membership. They say that like 95% of nonprofit organizations are struggling with the challenges of COVID in terms of revenue, in terms of membership. And 60% of associations, and this is like nonprofit associations, trade associations, and so on, but 60% of those say that their membership numbers dropped or stagnated over the last year. So I wanted to take just a few minutes to share with you kind of what we responded with at ACDA so that we're all on the same page. And this is stuff that's important for your membership to know if they're saying, why do I need to stay with ACDA? In the spring, after calamity hit, if you can think back that far, we ended up cutting short two of the regional conferences, and everybody went home, and we were all in a panic about what was going to happen. We were looking at, we didn't know very much, if you remember, about what COVID was or how choirs were impacted, except it was horrible, and it seemed like the choirs were the epicenter of some of the spreading issues. So we were looking at, would choir be possible? And if choir wouldn't be possible in the fall, what would that mean for jobs, for choral programs? We were worried that educational institutions were going to be having to cut programs, and arts programs seem to always be on the front lines for that kind of stuff. And we've seen a trend over time that institutions have stopped paying for professional association membership so much, and we figured that would be a huge hit, just continuing that downward trend. So we needed, to stand back and reflect a little on what we were doing at ACDA and how we could best help members. And I'm just going to go through a list here. You don't have to remember it all, but we really did try to think about what ACDA meant to members and what we needed to do to be relevant to them. So one of the first things we did was drop student membership from $35 to $5 for every student. We felt that was important, because students are very vulnerable in terms of their income levels, and they were in a time of huge transitions, trying to figure out if they were going to stay on campus or come home. That was making $5 student dues for all student members rather than just the first members that we traditionally do in the student membership initiative. For the membership drive, we tried to give you all more discretion in terms of looking at your membership and not just using the comp memberships for people who had not been members for over 5 years, looking at potential members, but we knew that you all would know and be faced with seeing some of your current members maybe not being able to renew for economic reasons or worries or whatever. So we gave more discretion for you all to make the decisions at the state level. And we gave you more comp memberships. At the national level, we helped to sponsor a couple of research studies in coalition with other arts organizations that I think were really, really important to help us begin to understand what COVID was and what it meant to our programs. We participated in a series of webinars with NATS and Chorus America and Barbershop Harmony Society. I know the first of those had a huge impact and a lot of blowback from our membership in terms of sharing the research that singing a choir in traditional ways was not safe, and no one wanted to hear that. But we thought it was important that we listen to the science and talk about it, and that was really important to help us begin to understand how to develop mitigation strategies. One thing that I almost forgot was that that spring, when everybody had been preparing for spring concerts, all of a sudden they started to be canceled, in massive ways. And so our R&R National Chair, Gretchen Harrison, asked us to set up virtual concert halls. So, excuse me 1 minute. So we took video performances of people's choirs and put them up on the website in playlists of different R&R genres. And over 200 people submitted their videos. We began gathering and sharing information on state chapter events, which I think was really wonderful, and we're going to continue to do that. But we had not tried to keep up with state events before that, and now we do. We try.
Can you turn that down some?
We increased our email communication with members. We were just doing a monthly
Turn it
newsletter.
off. Let's turn it down some.
And we started doing that weekly, and we'll continue to do that. We worked proactively in helping, this was related to the database, proactively helping members with password resets and account enabling and renewal challenges. So we started doing a lot more proactive work, trying to help people work through learning the new database. We got auto renewals active for active members. We started more contacts with lapsed members, and we'll talk more about that later. And we worked to continue to strengthen the networks among membership chairs and state leadership. And we've just now started hosting some national webinars that I'm pretty excited about. So we've seen a lot of change and a lot more diversity in the kinds of stuff we do. And I know at the state level, that's happening as well. We hear about some of it and not so much others, but ACD has proved that it's a very active and responsive association in my mind. So looking ahead, I'm actually hopeful. We've continued to lose members every month. That's not so hopeful, but our goal nationally is just to stop that loss. So if by the end of this calendar year, we can kind of stop that downward trend, I think that's a win in the current climate. Regaining would be, icing on the cake, but if we can just stop the downward cycle, then I think we're in a good place to start rebuilding. We're at a little over 13,800 members right now. and that's down 1,000 from January. So I think we're still seeing the impact of, in March and April, we had people that had joined from the regional conferences, and so they had year memberships. So we're still seeing some of the rollout of COVID. Industry-wide in membership organizations, people are talking about panic lapsers, which means, I think this especially happened last year when there was a lot of fear, if you can remember back then, and people were worried about their jobs, they were worried about their programs, they were worried about what would happen, if they lost their jobs on their family budgets, and if they were, schools were pulling back on expenses because they were not sure the future. So the feeling is out there in membership organizations that we're going to start seeing some of this, even in the next months. Some of those people are going to come back who are our members and see the value of it, and so we want to stay in contact with our current members in big ways about how relevant we are, and also with people who have lapsed over the past year, to just remind them that we're here and we're ready to have them back. I do a lapsed member survey about 4 months after people have lapsed, and I've been studiously reading those as they come in over the last year. And people always lapse for a variety of reasons. Some people retire and decide that's all they want. But I've been seeing more and more people saying that they let their membership lapse because they're primarily there for their students, for sponsoring for honor choirs, sponsoring for festivals, and with the cancellations for all of those kinds of things at the national and regional and state level events, they hadn't, that's one of the big benefits that they didn't get, but they say they will be back. So, know that everybody who's losing K-12 members, that every one of those people has said, I've let it go, but I'm planning to come back when my students can start doing things again. And I feel really good this year in particular about this group of our membership people in the state level, and also at state president level. We've got a really talented group of people at the state level, and we're in a good shape to start rebuilding ACDA from the ground up. So I'm gonna stop there, and I hope I've moved from kind of the challenging news to feeling like there's a lot that's going to be happening in the near future, and I feel really positive about where ACDA is headed. So I'm going to ask a couple of the people in this group to share now. First, we are at a really important time at ACDA and the choral art, really, in terms of recognizing the need to diversify our membership and be inclusive and engaging and responsive to all our members in a wide variety of ways, but particularly in terms of race and culture. And I invited Felissa Barber, who's the president of Massachusetts ACDA, because we had heard her share about a really innovative idea she had for the ways that that they use comp memberships in last fall membership drive. And I think that you all might be really interested in thinking about something like this. So Felissa, I will turn it over to you, and thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
Oh, and do you have a screen share or anything?
Yeah, I do. If you could.
I will make you a co-host.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And I see Sarah Greena is here, who is our membership chair in Massachusetts. So shout out to her. And I also, let's see if, I can share now. Okay, let me go ahead. Share my screen. Can everyone see that okay? So we have Sarah is our membership chair, and Noom. I wanted to mention Noom as well because one of the things that I really felt important as I began my presidency last year, it's just been since July of 2020, was to really make sure that I had strategies about diversity in everything that we do in Massachusetts. And so I met with Sarah and Noom, and we kind of came up with a statement or a mission focus for the direction that we wanted to kind of take, especially as in the role of the membership. So Mass ACDA continues to promote experiences for our membership that embrace our mission of peace and justice, diversity, inclusion, advocacy, as well as mentorship. And when we met, we had two primary goals. We really wanted, of course, to recruit new educators, collegiate students, as well as lifelong members. And we wanted to recruit a diverse and representative membership. And so those were our two main goals. And we met several times. And I have to give a shout out to both Sarah and Noom because I kept asking them for meetings in the summer and they kept coming. So I wanted to kind of figure out a way or a campaign to use the comp membership. So this is what we came up with in Massachusetts. Here's our flyer that we had posted on Mass ACDA. And we called it education or educator membership grants. And you can see here that it was actually specifically for people of color who have new members, and specifically for people of color to get them on the board and on into the membership, as well as we wanted to, as Sandra just talked about, some teachers were experiencing hardship this year due to COVID-19. And so the second thing we wanted to do was make sure that we provided for any educators who were having financial hardship or couldn't afford their membership this year. And then the other applicants were just first-time members. And so those were the three things that you had to do. You just had to complete a form or application online, which got sent to Sarah, and you would get the comp membership. We, of course, also promoted the collegiate memberships, and we pushed the $5 membership. We actually tried to focus or target college students, and we did this again in the spring because the membership technically wasn't a part of that drive, the $5. It was going on throughout the year. So in February, I sent out another blast to our college teachers as well as students for our college conference, and we made it free to members so they could join and pay $5 and then come to the conference. And then also tried to market it to high school teachers in hopes that some of them would try to begin programming a chapter of ACDA at the high school level as well. This was something we tried in the final month, but I actually want to try to figure out a better way to use this. We kind of went with this blast about referring a friend, and this was for our initial educators membership grant. We wanted people to really think about who they're teaching with, if they had a colleague or a conductor in their area who they know were not into ACDA, especially if they knew that they were a person of color or they had never been into it. We wanted to make sure that they encouraged them to refer a friend. So that was the other thing that we had as a part of this campaign. That's basically it.
Thank you so much.
I will.
Does anybody have any questions for Alyssa?
I think that's awesome. I love your flyer. It was really very cool. Do you have a way of tracking those numbers to see that they will renew in the following year? I mean, well, let me start over. How many did you have accept your grant?
So we only had 3, I thought, apply, and someone told me that we had 2. So we only gave 2 of those comp memberships away. And we were really trying to push. That's why I did the second push of refer a friend, because I was trying to encourage teachers, if you know someone, refer them into the program. I would like to do this again. I'm going to start the campaign earlier because we didn't get the campaign started until what was it? I think August or something like that. And we had that really quick, we had a quick virtual summer conference that I put together because we had to cancel the other conference. And so it was kind of a lot of things at once. And I also feel like people were hesitant just because of some of the reasons Sandra was talking about, because people came back and they didn't know if they were going to be hybrid. They didn't know if they were going to be in person. They didn't know if festivals were going to be happening. And so we had a lot of emails of interest, but we only had a few people that actually took advantage of that membership drive that we did. But I am going to promote that again this year. One thing that I would like to try to find a better way to utilize is the refer a friend. If there was a way in which we could, I don't know if you refer so many, you could get a comp or you could get part of a discount. I was going to talk to Sandra about this, but I'd love to make that a part of it, because so many times I think people actually know people working with them. And they could, if you just mention, oh, you should join ACDA, they probably would do it rather than, finding a flyer. So I'm going to try to incorporate the refer a friend more this year into that, but we're going to launch that same campaign.
Excellent.
Or a similar one.
And we're always ready to talk about different ideas, and whatever's within our realm of control, we can work with you on. That sounds like an awesome idea. Okay.
Thank you, Kathy. Kathy sent me an idea.
Yes, good idea. Okay. Okay, if there are no more questions, thank you so much, Felissa, for sharing that. And I think it's really worth doing another year. I will say that I felt the entire year last year that we're fighting with a ton of noise all over. Everybody was so, there was just so much going on and so many questions being asked that second and third years are even better often. Okay, so moving on to another idea, strategy. Okay.
Question, Sandra.
Question?
You're muted, Polly.
I'm sorry, you asked for questions earlier and here I am.
Yes.
Coming in late. But for Felicia, I was very interested that you have a board member specifically for membership diversity. And so this was new on your board, this particular current board membership time, and how is what that person does different from, and you also have a general membership chair, correct? So you have two people working on membership?
I know you were going in and out, so I'm not sure if I heard your question, but I think I did. I have included our diversity chair on a committee meeting for every single thing that we're doing. And that was my choice, because I feel like I want the ideas that the diversity chair has represented in every aspect of what I'm doing in the state.
Oh,
and one of the, I wanted her voice here. I served as the diversity chair for the state of Massachusetts before, so I already had a voice, but I wanted to make sure that that was there and being represented. And so I actually had Noom and Sarah, we sat down several times via Zoom, and to come up with ideas and I don't know how many emails, trying to craft what we wanted this grant to be for. And we wanted, we still wanted to look out for those educators that were having hardship due to COVID, but we really wanted to get a more representative body. And we were trying to figure out ways to encourage people from BIPOC and maybe otherwise not represented on our board into the membership. And so this was one of the ways that we thought of, is if we could get them in as as complimentary, and this is your first time join, then that was part of our initiative.
great. That's a clarification, because for some reason I thought it was just for membership, but it's a diversity chair that influences a lot of what you do. Anyway, thank you very much. I get it.
I'm having her, yep, across the board. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to lapsed members, which are important. So we know industry-wide that the easiest people that you can get to join your organizations are those who have been members already and who have lapsed. And that's certainly true of ACDA. the easiest members that you'll get to come back or get to come are the ones that know ACDA and have some kind of relationship with us already. I mean, fortunately, for the most part, people have good experiences with ACDA, and they sometimes have to be reminded about that. Or, some people want to know that they're missed, that somebody noticed when they didn't renew. And I've asked Kathy to talk a little bit about that because she knows this to her very core and soul. And I will just say, at the national level, we stay in touch with lapsed members. We continue to contact them with emails every month for the first 4 months that they lapse. And our officers get regularly contact from me when they let their membership lapse. And often people just think they've renewed or they forgot and they just haven't noticed that they're not getting the newsletters or whatever. So after the 4 months, when they get contacted every month, they get the lapsed member survey saying, like, did you know that you lapsed? And if you did, please give us some feedback. And then I continue to contact them every quarter for 3 more years. I'm going to turn it over to Kathy, who does a really fabulous job of working with lapsed members. And I'll just say that even though at National, we do this regular systematic outreach to our lapsed members, the people who count are you. The members are so much more responsive to state people who know them, and they know each other. So what Kathy does, and I'm sure many of others of you do, is really, really important in this area. So Kathy, you're on.
Well, first of all, I will say that everything Sandra said is absolutely true. And it's amazing that people get so many ways to renew their membership. And there are lots of reasons that they don't. But let me just tell you what I do. And it's nothing magical. It might sound like a lot. We talked about, Sandra and I talked about, well, I could share my screen and my spreadsheet, but honestly, I recognize that that's overwhelming. But it's just because it's a spreadsheet. What I did as a regional chair, I used to do this just within my state, but now taking on the region as well, I just do it for the region and I tweak the email for my Missouri people. I sent out 887 emails to lapsed members. So in our lapsed membership list for Southwestern, that's for 1 year or approximately 1 year. Now, I did not send 887 emails. I sent them in groups of 4. I sent them for those who were 1 month, those were for 2 to 3 months, 4 to 6, and then more than 6. And for each one of those emails, I changed my opening just a little bit. You've been lapsed for this amount of time. You've been lapsed for this amount of time, so that it was a little bit more personalized. I am a big believer in yet another mail merge, which has worked for me for more than a decade, that I can create a draft email. And I know there's a lot of mail servers that you can, whoa, that didn't sound good. Email servers. Sorry. That email servers that you can use to personalize an email. I have found yet another mail merge to be just the best thing for me because it looks like my email that's coming to them. It's not super fancy, but I can send it to everybody and I can personalize with a lot of different information. In those 4 groups, I sent to them. I didn't do that this time, so their first name wasn't on it just because it was all from one spreadsheet. But from that response, I got found out 2 that were blocked, 27 bounced emails, and Trina, I'll share that with you so that you have record of those emails, that those aren't good emails. I had 2 people who had a career change. I had 4 that were not renewing, and I said, we love you. Thank you very much for letting me know. I have 2 that were not renewing yet, 2 that were renewing soon, and 16 that renewed as a result of that email, which was pretty cool. Admittedly, 887 emails, and 50 responses is rough, but that's 16 people who renewed who would not have renewed. And out of those 16, at least 2 of them were of the, oh, let me share my email. So my email is standard. I've been using this for a long time, and it's kind of quirky. If you know me at all, I'm kind of quirky. I'm really silly. I use guilt all the time, and guilt works really well for me. So when I guilt people, oh, and board members do not stay not members at our state. I am ruthless with them. You should be ruthless. If you have board members who are not members on your board, send them to me. I'll fix that. That's not acceptable. So anyway, I have this email, and it's got several different paragraphs in it. So the first paragraph is, I did renew. Why am I getting this email? It is my firm belief that people think they renew, and most of the time they're wrong. But they need me on their side. So I believe them, and I say, I'm sure that this is a problem. I send them to National, and Trina gets to tell them that they're wrong. It's okay. That's Trina's job. She can do that. But I'm their friend. So they expect me to support them, and I believe that their membership is right, and I want to help them find it. So that's an important thing. Second one, I tried to renew and it didn't work. And Sandra said this, that there is a transition when we change systems, people don't know how to log in. If it's not easy for them, they don't do it. And it takes a while for that to get back. And then after a while, if you've been doing something for a few years and you haven't been a member and you think, well, my life isn't so different, why do I need to do that? The longer they're out, sometimes the harder it is to get them back that way. So I have a little video that I help them try to do that. And then, of course, I work with Trina because we talk every day. Trying to find the right time in the budget is my next paragraph. And I explain that I totally understand that. I give them some strategies. I suggest using a Christmas account. Say if you save $10 a month, just designated for your ACDA, go without Starbucks for 1 month and you've got the whole thing covered. I am not able to attend conferences is the next paragraph. And when Sandra said that, you know, that's one thing that we really battle in our state, and I don't accept that as an excuse. Our state, it is our job to provide a great conference, but if all we're doing is providing a great conference, we are not serving our membership well. So on our board, we are working really hard to provide year-long value for our members. Everything we put out on a team drive, we provide, I don't know what else. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff that I don't want to say and put too much, but it's really important that it's not just about the conferences, because after every conference you see a drop off. If somebody can't go the next year, if they only want to go to a national conference, they're a 2-year cycle member. They join only when the national conference happens. My career has changed. It's important for us to know those people whose career changed, because sometimes that happened, and then I don't have to bug them anymore. Not sure that ACDA is the right fit for me. This one I take exception to, and I say, if you are a choral professional in any capacity, I beg to differ. Give us a chance to convince you. There are at least a dozen people who would love to talk to you about it. And if somebody tells me that ACDA isn't a right fit for them and they work in any capacity as a choral professional, I think they're wrong. And let me help you see the way that you can, the ways that ACDA has impacted my world. The last one on here, I keep meaning to renew, or I mean to renew, but I keep forgetting. And then I say, really? Duh. Renew today. Seriously. And I try and use humor with it, you know, because it is funny. Okay, so you forget. Do it now. What's wrong with you? But now I do this lapse membership thing. I will do this once every 3 to 4 months. I don't want to bother people too much because they stop reading my emails, but I will continue to send this. And then I keep track of the ones that have renewed to make sure that it's valuable. There was something else I wanted to say. Boom. No, maybe that's it. I am silly, I am quirky, and I am relentless. In Missouri, but it's because I've been doing this a long time. Our membership in Missouri, they feel guilty. They do. And if I send them emails, hey, Kathy, I'm sorry, I know, I'm going to renew. Really, I am. Oh, good. That's nice. Please do.
Thank you so much, Kathy. And Kathy says she's very quirky, but she's a very effective membership chair, and they are doing amazing things in Missouri. Do you have any questions for Kathy, or thoughts or reactions to what she said? I will say that regarding the conferences, when I started at ACDA in 2012, so that was a while ago, we've got questions. So I'll just finish my little story and then we'll go on to you, Evan, and then Polly. Our membership went like this every 2 years, like for the national conference. And we worked really hard. I mean, we had a ton of stuff going on all the time, but we just never told anybody about it. We just thought they'd all come to the website and find out. And we started just communicating. We added some benefits and responded to members and stuff, but we told people what we had. And it still is a little that way, but it's much more even. And that's a big win. And I think at the state level as well, the more you tell people about what you have for them and why they need the connection and support that ACDA offers for their choral passion and so on, the better off we are. So Evan, you have a question?
It's just to tag on to all the awesome stuff that Kathy just shared. That exact wording that she read to you is in the membership handbook, which is on our website. And there's a link to yet another mail merge in that handbook too. And the handbook is short and you can just like control find yet another mail merge. You don't have to read the whole thing, though I highly recommend it. But Kathy's templates are all linked right there and all you have to do is copy paste.
Polly,
Sure.
you're muted. Yeah.
Okay, I hope I can be heard.
Yes.
I have a question for Kathy about how she determines when someone has in fact renewed. What lists are you looking at? I mean, where do you get that information? Because that's been tricky for us here in California to know who is current, who is lapsed. When I say we, it's me, having trouble with the data base that comes from national. So maybe you have some magic way you research all that.
Well, I had the very good fortune of being able to beta test with Trina and Sandra on this database. So I have been working with it a little bit longer. I will also say that I log into it every day. There isn't a day that I don't just log in on my plan, or if I've got 5 minutes, I go, and I love the numbers. So when you open up, and I know Trina can talk about this too because she's going to share some stuff, but for me, when I log in, I check those numbers just on the regular dashboard. What's my renewed? There's a box there that says renewed, and what's my new members. If I see a change, then I go to the report. If I don't see a change, then I don't mess with it. But I log into that every day, and that helps because then I'm used to seeing it.
Okay, great.
It's not magic.
New chair coming in July 1st, so I want to get as much of this info to her as possible. So thank you. Thanks, Kathy.
And I think that's a great transition, if nobody else has any questions, to Trina's part, who will tell you a little bit more about that dashboard. Some of you already use it, some of you may be newer to it, but Trina's your person on this.
And unfortunately, after we've bragged at how much better Funtiva is, it has crashed today.
What? It never does that.
It's never done it since we've had it, but it is now right now down for maintenance. So what I want to tell you, I can't show you, and I apologize for that. But what Kathy was saying is one of the, I think, best things about our new database is that everything is live. You don't have to wait till the end of the month to get your numbers. They're current every single day, so they will change daily. Doesn't mean you need to check them daily, but you should probably want to check them monthly at least to see the differences each month and see who's renewed, who hasn't renewed, who's lapsed. And I was counting on being able to see it, but I think you have about 8 different reports that you can use, and you can compare with each other to narrow down what you need to know or what you want to know. And if you ever want some help, always please feel free to contact me, and I'm happy to schedule a meeting with you and share screens normally and go over the reports with you. So I'm sorry, I don't have anything else to share.
That's funny because I think we're hexed today because I've never known Fontiva to crash.
No,
And I had to run home from the office because the audio on my computer was not working. So I don't know what's going on. It's the
I
Russian.
don't either, but it's not us, it's actually Fontiva. Holly,
Hey, I
did
have
you?
a question.
Oh, Holly had her hand up.
Okay.
No? Okay. Kathy, you're on.
And you're muted.
Kathy, you're muted.
Well, that's because Trina moved to my box, like right at that second when
Yeah,
I
I
was
don't know what
clicking
happened.
unmute. Why did you do that?
I
Oh
don't
my
know.
gosh. I was clicking and then all of a sudden, okay, sorry. So Fontiva, Salesforce. Are they the same? Are they different? How does that work?
We use those names kind of interchangeably. Fontiva. Andrew, you'll have to help me. I get it all confused still. Fontiva is the database.
I like Fontiva how it sounds better than Salesforce.
It does. But Salesforce is like the program behind the
It's like
screen.
the framework.
Yeah, making it work.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is I have a very good friend who works for Salesforce.
Mhm.
But he didn't know what Fontiva was. And I was asking some questions about some reports and things like that, like what's possible, what's not possible, just to kind of get some information about some data manipulation. But if Fontiva is actually a different company, then his information isn't going to be helpful to me.
Correct. I mean, it might, because Fontiva is like don't quote me, but it's like a plug-in into Salesforce. So we're getting ready to have a new email service that will be a plug-in into Salesforce that will help us. So Salesforce, like Sandra says, like the framework, and then Fontiva fits under it, in it, and drives our information.
Okay. Any questions from anybody before we move on? Thank you, Trina.
Sure. Oh, well, I've got a question. Could everybody, by show of hands, who's used the database? Hot damn. If you haven't and you want to, let me know.
Trina's an excellent teacher and can give you a guided tour of how to get on it, what it looks like, and so on.
Trina, you have to adjust that. You can't say if you haven't and you want to. Just say if you haven't, because as membership chairs, my friends, you are flying blind if you don't have access to the database.
Well, I'm not sure we're all membership chairs here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be saying that.
Oh. Okay, well, anybody who's a membership chair.
Okay. So we wanted to just we're going to walk through some of the resources that you have as membership chairs, because hopefully you know about all of them, but usually there's some that you maybe haven't looked at or so on. So I'm going to ask Kathy to talk a little bit about the membership chair handbook and also to share a little bit about the Facebook group for membership chairs.
I'm pretty sure Evan already did that, and so that was pretty sweet. Thanks, Evan, on that. Evan, our handbook was a long process and started with Ginger Wyrick in North Carolina and myself as in response to Sundra. We just kind of were putting together some ideas, and then we worked with Evan as well, and Evan kind of really changed the course of it because the way he had some things designed, all of a sudden it became fancy and it looks professional. It's not just a bunch of documents.
You did
It's-
all the formatting. That's not true. Don't give me on credit.
It was your idea. Okay, it was your idea. I wouldn't have done that otherwise. But I just, honestly, I had forgotten about it. And somebody mentioned something through an email. And you know, you can find the handbook. You don't even have to go to the website. You can type in ACDA handbook and it'll come up as the PDF just on a Google search. Who knew? I thought that was so cool. So I pulled it up and I read it. I had forgotten all kinds of stuff. I thought, oh my gosh, that's a great idea.
I'm going to
Whoa.
screen share for a second and show them how to find it on the website, just in
Do
case.
the Google.
Is that
It's
okay?
fun. Yes.
Well, you can do that, but I'm going to not do that.
Okay, that's okay.
So are you seeing the ACDA website? Somebody?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the homepage. Go to About and Leadership Tools. And if you see membership chairs there, scrolling down, just click on Membership Chair Handbook. And there it is. It's a wonderful document, chock full of really practical advice and examples and links, all kinds of stuff that will give you plenty of tools to work with at the state level. And there, it's hot linked, about advocacy. I've forgotten all that's in here, but anyway, it gives you. Oh, and here's a lead into the Facebook group, Kathy.
Yeah,
So you can
that's
click.
it. Hey, can you scroll back down one page? We need to redo this
Yes, we do. We do. Why?
because, is that the new regions?
Yes,
Oh, you were so smart.
Midwestern.
You did that. All right, good.
I don't remember.
I'm impressed that somebody remembered to do that. So there are a lot of, if you'll go back down to the, these are tutorial videos. So this is a welcome video from Ginger, accessing the dashboard. Trina, we might need to redo this video because some things have changed.
Yes,
Membership.
it's on the list. Yeah.
I'll look at that this summer too. Membership management, email templates, all the things that I send. I mean, if you just want a starting place, you can steal anything that I have done. It's helpful to have words already there, and then tweak them to your membership. I honestly send emails a lot. And people think that I send personalized emails, but I don't. I use the Yet Another Mail Merge, and I personalize it enough so it's timely. I talk about the weather that's current. Just one little sentence in there that makes it sound like I sent it just to that person. Their first name is in there, and that makes a big difference. I send thank you emails once every 60 days. And new members emails once every 60 days because that's the way our database is set up. Our database is on a 60-day cycle. So for you, if you you just want to pick a date once every 2 months, kind of go through it. That way you won't be duplicating your work. Does that make sense? It's better not, then you don't hit anybody, and you won't miss anybody as well. So lots of things. And then that quick hack, I'll probably have to redo that too because we've changed some things as well. But there's a lot of stuff here for you to be able to figure out ways to do our job better. I have to remind myself of these too because I forget. I would love for us to be super active on this Facebook group. I think Facebook can be such a valuable tool. Why does it say that?
I don't know. Oh, because I'm logged in on my personal account. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if I can log out. There's my ACDA account because I talk too much about my daughter and cats and politics on my personal account. So I have to have a separate work one.
I get it.
Okay. Membership chairs.
So this is a great way for us to communicate and to share ideas. I recently put up a project that we're doing. It's a longevity project where we're recognizing years of people within their within the organization, and this is a labor of love. But it's been really cool because I've had a lot of people take interest in this in our membership. They want to be on this list. So a lot of them, they've renewed their membership. They want to make sure that they get put on the different levels. And you can see the whole thing there. If you go to the Facebook page, you can see that and check it out. We have different levels. And on the highest level, 55 years or more, we have 3 people within that, and their picture is there. We will have, next year, we'll have 2 more that join that. So I was excited about this, and our membership has been, we're going to do certificates for the bronze, silver, and gold and rose gold because I believe that it's important for us to recognize the people who have stayed with the organization. I believe this because somebody told me this, and the person who told me this is no longer a member of ACDA, but he did spend 25 years in there, and as part of a committee, he said he left because he didn't feel like, you know, he just wanted something. He wanted a certificate. He wanted something. And I thought, okay, I can do that. So this is our project. And be on the Facebook group so we can all talk. I need friends. I need friends. I need friends that are not on TikTok because those friends are okay, but they're a little silly. So please, I need friends.
So any questions or reactions to the handbook or the Facebook group? Okay. I had some quick news that we will be sharing with the wider group and sharing with presidents and so on. But since I have you in front of me today, I think that membership chairs will want to know about this too. There are, okay, so I'm just going to run down a list. The EC voted a couple of changes in dues that would be effective starting July 1. With our new membership platform, we found it a lot of more of a challenge to do that 5-year first year of student membership dues. So we are going to stop doing the student membership initiative. And if you'll remember, this was something for new student members. First year, they would get 5 years off, and then it would go up to $35 for their remaining years. But that was kind of opening the door for them. What we've decided to do is actually drop student dues down to $15 a year, but we won't be able to offer the $5. And it's just not financially viable for us to continue the $5 dues that we did for the special year of last year. So it will go up to $15, but again, I mean, this is affordable. Yeah, thank you, Kathy. It's affordable for anyone that actually, you know, does anything with choir. This would be student dues. We are raising institution dues. Those are currently at $125. They're going up to $135. And if you get questions or reactions to that, we're going to start announcing that. But institutional dues are organization dues, and those are really aimed at choral departments in colleges or a choir, something like that. We've been trying for several years to get people who really should be active members out of that institutional category, because the benefits are really different. Organization, okay, thank you, Sarah, for coming. Organization dues will get you the publications, they'll get you a copy of the print choral journal. Thank you, Robert, for coming. They'll get you a discount on, or they'll get you a free job announcement on our career board, but they are not for people who should be in active category. So, so the dues for institutionals are going up to $135. That's all on July 1. There has been a lot of talk this year among our publications team with the Choral Journal, partly in response to the kinds of issues that the membership has been raising about the biggest category of our memberships are K-12 choral educators. And we have a lot of benefits, but trying to think of ways to be more responsive to that group. Of course, every print publication is looking at rising printing costs and lower print runs and so on. So what they are doing, what the Choral Journal team is doing, is moving from 11 print issues a year, because they do a combined June and July issue, to 9. So there'll be 9 choral journals. They're going to be doing 2 more combined issues. So there's always been pretty much a June-July combined issue. Now it will move to also a November and December combined issue and a March and April combined issue. And their thought is that these would be bigger issues than a traditional just single month issue. So they're hoping not to really lose content. It will just be in bigger chunks. And then one thing that I'm particularly excited about is they're going to, because of those reduced number of issues, they're going to be expanding Core Teach, which is has been our online publication for choral educators. So that's been a quarterly publication with a volunteer editor who's marvelous, Terry Barham. But Amanda Baumgartner, who's the Choral Journal editor, is going to be doing a lot more work in that, and she's going to be recruiting a board of people, at least 2 of whom will be public school educators, and they're going to really beef up Core Teach, which are more aimed at kind of the practical side of choral conducting in classrooms and rehearsals and things like that. So they're looking at, instead of issues of like 4 or 5 pages, they're looking at larger issues of 30 to 40 pages, original content, because they pretty much selected kind of key articles from state publications and region publications for the most part, but this will be original content, longer articles, again, a board of 4 to 5 Core Teach editors. And then that will take the place of the months that Choral Journal will not be published. So it will still be, Core Teach will still be online, but it would come out in April, July, and December. So I believe that starting in November and December is when that first combined Choral Journal will come, and then in December we'll see a Core Teach, which I'm pretty excited about. I hope that you all are getting the monthly newsletter and the weekly kind of Wednesday stuff, because that's really important for you to know what's coming out in the national. You'll have seen that there's a June 8th webinar, which is our second webinar, and that's aimed at middle school and high school educators. And we'll have panelists, Gretchen Grace Harrison, Chris Muntz, and Vic Oates, and they're going to be talking about, oh yes, okay. They're going to be talking about revitalizing and rebuilding middle school and high school programs. So that I hope will be very interesting to people as they go into the summer and then come back in the fall swinging. There are, I hope you saw in the monthly newsletter, but there are 3 national R&R chair openings. So if you know of anybody in your states that you think should be looking at those and applying, please help get the word out, because it's a short deadline. The deadline is to send information to Gretchen Harrison by May 28th. So it's in vocal jazz, community choirs, and college and university choirs. And I hope particularly we get a very strong community choir pool, because we have a lot of members that have community choirs that would like to see more activity. And so we need somebody who's a very good leader in that. And then finally, membership drive. We're going to have the same dates, and we hope to have a really strong membership drive in the fall. I've heard some good ideas from you all during this session, but we're going to run it for 2 months again, September 15th through November 15th. We won't have the student membership initiative, but we're gonna try to help you think of a good push for student members. And I think getting student chapters active again. Trina's going to be working really hard on that, and we're going to be really pushing both the chapters themselves, but also state leadership to think about ways to really highlight what's going on in the campuses. And we will have comp memberships again. I think I heard some good ideas this session about ways we might use them, or ways that you might want to adapt that in some way. But know that I'm always interested in hearing, if you want to use them in a different way than we've done before, please talk to me. We can usually just say yes, and that's good for all of us. So if you have great ideas, please contact me. And then if you all have any thoughts now for what we should be thinking about in the membership drive, or if you have any, in the months coming forward, we will definitely want to hear from you. And I haven't looked at the chat recently. Okay, several people said they had to go. Trina, you want to talk about our membership moment?
So every Thursday, Sandra and I have been meeting just to catch up for the week and see what's going on with each other with our positions. And we needed to practice one time doing Zoom Live on Facebook. So there was born Membership Minutes. So we've had a lot of fun. It's only a couple of minutes every week, and I think we'll continue it until somebody kicks us off. But if you have something you want us to address, let us know. We'd love to
I think
talk
it's
about
so
what you
cute.
We're just having fun. It's important content too. I mean, for 2 minutes, how important can it be? But we hope to keep it short and sweet every week. So check us out, like us, leave comments.
Is there anything going on in your states, or any stuff that you're doing in membership that you want us to know about? Because we love hearing about what's going on in your states and sharing that more widely. Both to show, really the innovation, creativity that's happening out there, and also to give people ideas.
Evan raised his hand.
Evan.
We do weekly Saturday coffee chats, which I think I've told you about in the past. But that's been great, and it's and we're going down to monthly for the summer, and then we're gonna see how we want to proceed for the next year. And we started it specifically because of COVID, just to be a support system. But we've brought a lot of new people in the state into the ACDA fold through that, which has been
Wow.
That's awesome. And are they just informal dialogue, or do you talk about specific?
We kind of go back and forth. So it was informal dialogue for a few months, and then we decided to do topics, but we didn't want it to be too much like PD. So we have a topic, and if we can, we try and bring someone in who we know is particularly good at the topic, someone who has their feet on the ground kind of thing. like we had a social media one, and we have a member who's particularly great at social media, so we just had her join us. And then the person who does social media for my school district saw my post about it and was like, oh, I'll hop on and share what we do too. And I was like, this is great. So so we do that. And then and now it's basically like every other week. We'll have like a free chat one week. We'll have a topic the next week. This last weekend's topic was making students work for you, something silly like that. And 2 weeks before that was like end of the year pandemic friendly ideas. And we have teachers who will see those topics and go, oh, I need ideas. And then they pop in, or if they have ideas. But it's also just like a really friendly group of people. So it either grows or plateaus, but it doesn't get smaller, which is nice. So we have a good time. And we have like a little like 5-person committee who runs it, and 2 of us host it every weekend. So like you only have to do anything with it like every 3 weeks. So it's really low maintenance, and the members really like it.
That's awesome. And I think that's an example of how what ACDA can offer at the state level in terms of connection and community is super important and so valued by members.
Oh yeah. And Kathy, we have out of state people like every week almost. We have people from Iowa who tend to, like, Iowa is the place that tends to join us. I think it's
I love it.
a difference. I don't know.
Evan, what day and time do you do this? What time have you found to be successful?
We do Saturdays at 10 a.m. just to try and like get out of the way of people's weekends, but do it on a weekend so that they're not tired out from work, and early enough in the day so that they can still do their plans, but late enough in the morning where they're not annoyed about waking up. So that's kind of been our sweet spot. Yeah, we do it every Saturday, and I usually if you're not already friends with me on Facebook, it's Evan Powers, and then I usually post my own or share a post about it every week. So it's really, really, really easy to join. And one of the every time people register, one of the questions is, are you a member of ACDA?
Yes.
We keep data on that and follow up. So yeah.
Excellent idea. Excellent idea. Polly.
Just a question about, or not a question, a comment about our summer summit, which has replaced our live summer conference known as ECHO that we have in California every summer since the mid 80s. But last year we had the summer summit, and this year we're having another summer summit. But in any case, to register for that, we do not require people to be a member of ACDA. It's open to everybody. So, and I think it's $25. So it's really a recruitment tool. I'm not sure how effective it was last year as far as getting people to go ahead and join, but I'm sure there were people who joined following last year's summit. And so anyway, that's just another idea of what we do not require membership. They still have to pay registration. It's not free reg for them as well, but at least people can invite friends of theirs who aren't ACDA members to come to that conference, and then they can think about joining after.
And does the state do any proactive outreach afterwards to those who aren't members?
I think our executive administrator, Kathleen Preston, I think she keeps track of all that. And then she goes, it should actually fall to my position, I guess, or I should work more closely with her. But I think she sends an invitation afterwards for actual membership. I'll make a note of that so that Molly, and I'm going to send a note to you and Trina of the name and email of our new membership chair.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So that you're in touch with her right away.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Sure.
Kim.
So one thing that our state has been doing this year is we began a series called Critical Conversations. And basically it's a monthly Zoom call that, again, kind of like what Polly was saying, they don't have to be ACDA members to do this, but there is a fee and a higher fee for non-members. But basically we've partnered with Anthony Tracek King and his wife, Melanie, which probably many of you know Anthony in the ACDA world, but they have put this like incredible program together about critical thinking and leading difficult conversations with your ensembles or your groups or whoever you might be leading. And so we get on a Zoom with them every month, and they have some kind of curriculum for us that month. And then we all, as board members, we all are like leaders of a cohort that then also meet once a month. So like my cohort has 5 people in it, and we just kind of talk about it in further depth about what we learned and like what's going on in our lives and how we're putting this, these practices into place. And it's been just a really cool, like unique thing to be doing for us. In Colorado ACDA, we don't typically do a ton of programming throughout the school year. But this was the brainchild of our president, and really wanted to like have something that was really addressing the racial inequities that we were seeing, you know, in all elements of our lives, really. But as it pertained to the choir classroom and choral ensembles. So it's been really cool. And I highly recommend Anthony and Melanie if you're interested in reaching out to them. They are amazing. And what's really cool is we hired them for the year, but then now they're also coming out to our summer conference and kind of capstoning the whole year. And so I can't really tell you if we've, and I feel bad that I can't tell you this, but I can't really tell you if we've gained members as a result of this. That's my bad, but it's definitely just like really engaged our membership, the people who have chosen to do this. It's been an incredibly engaging and powerful thing. So thought I'd share.
Thank you so much. That's an awesome series. Yeah. And I will say that, especially at the beginning of the pandemic here, I think a lot of associations put out a lot of free resources and opened our doors wide, which was totally appropriate. People were really vulnerable and worried, and I think the choral world stepped up to offer all kinds of support and tools and free music and so on. Everybody's kind of thinking that we're going to be starting a transition back to, charging. I mean, everybody needs, some kind of revenue at the state level, at the national level, and so on. So I think those kinds of free and open webinars were really wonderful last year. And, I'm sure that some people will continue doing those. But if your state doesn't, I think a lot of people are thinking about, we've got to go back and start to get some resources to continue the work that we're doing. So, and any way that you can tie that to membership, and, even if you give it free to everyone, I think it's really important to follow up with those non-members and just saying, hey, I hope you like that. We do this kind of stuff all the time. And we need, we'd love to have you in the ACDA world. Somebody raised their hand. Yes, Anne.
Yeah, we've along that same line, we're looking at doing things like, if for instance there's a conference that's going to be done, Voices United would be a good example, where it's because it's virtual, the suggested contribution is $35, but that is the suggested contribution, but you must make some contribution, which allows students and teachers who've lost their jobs and, to contribute $10 and attend. And then we're going to build back up again. But because, Voices United used to be this big 3-day, fairly expensive, wonderful conference that's with Maryland, Delaware, Washington, DC, and Virginia. But it's, of course, scaled way back. It's a 2-day virtual concert, as it was last year. But it's not free. And for us, because we've been making almost all of the virtual things we've been doing this year free, and you don't have to be a member. But we were just discussing at our board meeting that we have to start now saying, it's going to cost this much if you're a member and this much more if you're not.
Great.
It's hard. It's hard.
It is hard. And I think it helps to hear what the conversations that other states have been having around this kind of topic. Any other thoughts?
Yeah,
I
I
really-
think, John Weatherspoon from
Yes.
Florida. I think that it is indeed important, as Anne was just saying, that we do start to help people to understand there is an expense to this, and everything is not free. Things have to be funded, and we have to be okay with that. Like, it's okay to want to lift people up, help people out, but we can't deceive people to thinking that things are free that are not free. We need to be real as well. So, yeah. So I agree with you, and I don't think that's anything to have to apologize for. We can't. Things cost what they cost.
Yeah, thanks for that, John. And you know, it's an interesting psychology, but you know, we need to be able to offer discounts at times and to open the doors and get people in with some kind of offer. But we've seen with comp memberships that it's a little tricky, because when people don't pay anything for that membership, it doesn't mean a lot to them. You know, you really have to bend over backwards to get them to actually come to some kind of event or to participate in something, because it was free, so it doesn't really, there's no value attached to it. I don't apologize at all for charging for things. I do apologize if you charge for something and it was not worth it. But ACDA offerings at every level, I think are really high value and really relevant to our members' needs. So there's no apology needed. I agree, John, to put a value on that. Any last thoughts?
Sorry,
Yeah.
just a slight piggyback, and I'm not big on piggybacking, but people, I mean, it's anything in life. What you invest in, you appreciate, and I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, we're all running around our schools picking up trash after kids because they don't value it as their own, and so we have to teach that, you know, and so we value what we invest in, and so yeah. Yeah, that's in anything in life, period. So
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all making the time to be here and sharing your wisdom and your experiences.